Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another edition of Monday Night Mike. It's the longest running pandemic-timed Facebook live show that the Sea Dogs have ever produced. And I'm so happy to be your host for another episode. We're up to 16 of these now. We've been doing it, roughly 4 months now, if my math is somewhat correct. But 16 weeks of this show, and we have a doozy for you today. He is a 5-year member of the Sea Dogs, won a President Cup in 2017, now a member of the Chicago Blackhawks. Matthew Highmore is going to be joining us in just a few moments. I don't have anything too much to update people on. Bits of news around the league, but you can find that Twitter, everywhere else, rumors roaring around, when are we coming back, etc., etc. We'll have more information for everyone very, very soon around tickets, everything else, schedule. We don't have anything official right now to give people, but it is coming. I'm getting messages more and more every day, people that want tickets and information and when are we coming back and everything else. But sit tight. We will have something for you very, very shortly. And we hope that everyone stays patient and stays safe until that time. Without further ado, I do want to get to Matthew Highmore. He's a busy guy. He just landed in the bubble in Edmonton. Like I said, he's part of the Chicago Blackhawks now, and he'll be taking part in the play-in series. They'll be taking on the hometown Edmonton Oilers. In that play-in series, and they'll be playing a scrimmage game against the defending Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues as well this week. So thank you so much to Matthew for joining us. I believe he is ready now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be joined now by number 15 of your St. John Sea Dogs, Matthew Highmore. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's I've been watching a couple of them, and they've been great.
Any favorite lightning rounds or answers stick out of guys from the past? You're
No,
like
nothing.
I didn't know there was going to be follow-up questions.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. But no, I can't. Nothing that's stuck out in my mind.
They're all your favorite. I understand.
Exactly. They're all equal.
Matt, before we get into kind of the history and the good stuff, all about the Sea Dogs era and your time in St. John, the 5 years that you spent with the team, just a quick catch up on it's a bit of a whirlwind for you right now. You're with the Blackhawks, and it's a well-known fact that hockey's about to return this week. So your world's been pretty crazy, I'm sure. But how has the last kind of 3, 4, 5 months been for you as everything sort of shut down and you had to go back home, I guess?
Yeah. Obviously, the last 3, 4 months for everybody's been kind of tough. But for myself, I came back home to Halifax, and began my summer training. Kind of did obviously followed every protocol that was in place, and we isolated at home and whatnot. And as for the last kind of month or so, I've been in Chicago training with the team, and we just finished up training camp, and we're now in Edmonton. Looking forward to kind of getting underway this week, and ultimately with Game 1 on Saturday.
And in your training in Halifax, I know Halifax is a bit of a hotbed there, and there's a ton of NHL guys, and we have a huge slew of our guys there now as well. Was it open back up? Were you able to train it all in some of the ice times before you headed off to Chicago?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I got to skate at home. I think it was about 3 weeks prior to heading back to Chicago, and obviously a little bit different with getting dressed at home and driving to the rink, which was neat. I haven't done that since I was probably 5 or 6, so it was a
That's
little bit
fun.
different. But yeah, no, we were able to skate, and we have a pretty good group at home. Not everybody was home, obviously, but it's nice to see everybody and get on the ice.
Very cool. So going back to your career in St. John, I'll take you all the way back to 2012 if you can put your memory cap on. But you're drafted 8th overall to St. John. You're fresh off the run. St. John's now been in 3 straight finals, back-to-back Memorial Cups. Did you feel the pressure of like, oh geez, I'm 8th overall. I'm going to like a pretty established franchise?
Yeah, obviously that's a while ago. I look back on that, especially getting drafted, as a very fond memory. I remember wanting it to be St. John, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be drafted by St. John. Played there for 5 years, so that was great. But looking back on that, I don't think I felt pressure necessarily. I know that, for me, it was a little bit of a unique situation. I came in as, I was injured. I had surgery. So for me, I was able the first 3 months of the season to kind of get my bearings and, before I even stepped on the ice for a game. So it was a little bit of a different situation. And, I remember leaning on guys like Jonathan Huberdeau. Um, Jason Cameron was there. There was a lot of guys that were very helpful, and especially come that time that I did step on the ice. I think it was the last week of November. So, um, nothing but fond memories from that.
And then, you would have had a little bit of an overlap with Huberdeau before he took a step up to the NHL. But
Yeah,
any memories of that? You played 30 games. How did you feel about that first season in the queue?
yeah, it was obviously an adjustment. It wasn't only just necessarily the hockey; it was moving away from home, living with a new family, and that was all different. Hockey wise, I do remember, kind of coming out of the gates a little bit slow and trying to understand that it was a different game and trying to figure out kind of where I fit and how I had to play. But I think by the end of the year, I started to get more comfortable. And, I believe that year, did we miss the playoffs?
You made it, and I think it was a 4-0 sweep, I believe, your first year.
Right. So I think we played Halifax. And we almost had them in game two. That's one of those memories that I'll always remember. I think we lost maybe 2-1, and they scored with 3 minutes left. So that was a great learning experience for me and for our team.
I wanted to go back. I was looking at some old pictures and stuff, and I always remembered when I was making your 20-year-old video and stuff, your kind of shots, your pictures from your first year stuck out more than anyone because everyone always obviously looks young and they're 16 or whatever. You looked about 11 in your photo at the time, so I did have a photo. You can't see it, but I'll pull it up for the stream. But it's there was an ad we ran during the playoffs in 2017 of kind of your 20-year-old photo and your photo from your rookie season. So that's what you showed up to camp looking like.
I
It's a
know
good.
exactly which one you're
Yeah,
talking
you're
about.
in the stall, and yeah, you look like Macaulay Culkin basically in a
Oh yeah,
movie about hockey.
yeah, that's a long time ago.
That's a,
Changed my looks just a little bit. I hope.
you look a little bit older. I'll give you that.
I appreciate that.
Coming into your second season, the Hubertos of the world are gone. It's now kind of your guys' team. Smallman's there. You've just gone through the draft, pulling in other kind of core guys who are going to end up being there in the next 4 years and make that run in 2017. But after that season, you end up going undrafted in the NHL draft, and there's other guys from the team that do get picked up. Did you expect in that season to get drafted? You had a pretty good season. Your production was way up, 50 points that year. Were you on rankings? Did you feel like, okay, this is my shot, or was it kind of, okay, I'm gonna have to go under the radar and really work my way, maybe next year or the year after?
Yeah, I think, especially going into that year, I think everybody, when they go into the draft year, that's their expectation is to get drafted and what they want to do. It's put on such a pedestal, and obviously it's such a big, mark in somebody's career that when they get drafted, it's a stepping stone. So I really looked forward to that. I had certainly hoped I was going to go, but you really never know until draft day comes along. So we just, we sat around and tried to keep busy as much as possible. And obviously, it was a disappointment. It was something that you worked towards, and that's what you wanted. It didn't happen, and it was too bad. But I was fortunate to get an invite to the Montreal Canadiens camp, and went there to development camp and rookie camp, and learned a ton.
Yeah, what was that experience like? Montreal, obviously one of the bigger franchises, and you're a Canadian kid. That would have to be. I'm sure. I'm not sure if they're your favorite team, but the gravity of that team can't be missed by you. But what was that like going into a team like Montreal for your first camp?
Yeah, it was a huge eye opener for me. I remember walking in to the practice facility, and I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be, just a rink with, obviously they had their own locker room there, but I didn't expect it to be so grand and have, everything in there, whether it be, hot tubs, pools, a full workout room. I think I just didn't understand the magnitude of it. And I remember it being a really eye-opening experience for me. Like I said, I learned a lot from everybody that was there, and made some connections with people that I played against, prior years, even as far as back as like 5 years. So it was a great experience for me.
Now you come into your third season in the queue, and your production takes a bit of a hit. You go down, you drop down to 24 points from 50. I mean, most guys talk about like I came out of my first NHL camp, and that really escalated my play, and I had all this confidence to change. But was there a thing you can look back on and say like, yeah, this is what I was struggling with? Or I mean, the team obviously wasn't a great team at the time, and everyone's point values are sort of down. But what do you remember about that season?
Um, I mean, I think that season for me has probably been right up there with the toughest um, season I've had in my career. Just from a mental standpoint, I think the disappointment kind of from the year over may have kind of seeped in, and unfortunately, just took a little bit longer for me to get going. And I think that year I had quite a few injuries as well, which probably didn't help my momentum to try to help the team. Um, but that year I remember us having a great group of guys, and we were knocking on the door as a team, and we almost put it together.
Mhm.
Uh, but we had that core group that was starting to come together, and that's kind of where it all began.
And I remember hearing this at the time, like the following season, like were you a little bit nervous at all coming into the next year? Like, geez, like we got a lot of talented guys. Like, I might not actually have a spot on this team. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think going into that year, I remember there being some external noise about kind of where I sat. But for me, I was ready to give it one more kick at the can, and I was really excited to get back to work. I had a great summer. I remember that. I went home and really worked on a lot of things, whether it be on or off the ice.
Mhm.
And I was lucky to come in, and um, there was a we had that core group, and that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to be part of. And I knew that there was a lot of positives around the corner, so I really tried to be part of that. And, so far it worked out.
No, I mean that season you were no doubt like a huge part of that success in that season. I remember fondly, the deep playoff run and kind of surprising everyone. We're in the third round against Shawinigan in game one against the powerhouse, and we go there. It's away, and you end up scoring the OT winner in game one to take the lead in the series in a
Yeah,
6-5 game. Did you remember that moment or that playoffs and the sort of? I mean, we had the game seven against Cape Breton. It was a pretty exciting time.
yeah, that playoffs, obviously doesn't trump the one that we
Yeah.
won, but I remember it being such a huge, turning point in a lot of our careers. For just about everybody on that team, um, we just dug so deep to be able to find ways past teams that maybe were a little bit older, were a little bit better than we were, but we certainly didn't let them, um, necessarily bully us. And I think a lot of credit goes to the coaching staff during that run. Danny Flynn was huge for us, and really instilled a good base of what we were trying to do. And man, that was a fun run. I remember that. There was a lot of ups and downs, but it was a lot of fun.
And I'm not here to harp on all of your production year by year, but I will get into the fun stuff of the records that you still hold. We do a little section where I go through. The Q does a good job of organizing all the records that you may have, either league wide or franchise, through your time with the team. So you do still hold your number, I think it was number 6 all time for 3 fastest goals in one period by different players. And I remember this game vividly, and you may as well. It was against Moncton. It was our Halloween game, and it was you, Boko, and I can't remember the third one. I think it was Spencer. The game was like it's like 5-2 late, and we end up scoring 3 goals in a row, like bang, bang, bang. And that goalie from Moncton never played another game in the queue again, if you remember that at all. So that record is still 6th all time in 50 years in the queue.
I vaguely remember that. I'm trying to think. Was that the game that Sam Dover McFalls would have scored with like point I don't know, like 2 seconds left.
Possibly, yeah. All I remember, it's a kind of famous game in
Yeah.
the front office because we had played a video of the Undertaker, the wrestler on the big screen, and sort of antagonizing Moncton, and there was a whole thing. And so we were like, oh, do we play it? Do we not play it? And we were only up by maybe 2 goals late. We're like, let's play it. And as soon as we played the video, it was literally bang, bang, bang. We scored 3 goals, and yeah, that goalie never played a game again. So
Where you need a goal.
I laughed. I laughed when I saw that as your one Q record that still that still ranks in the top 10. But
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of
hilarious.
St. John records, you have a ton. I knew of a few of them. Most assists all time for the franchise, 157. You have the most power play goals with 36. You're tied with Mike Kirkpatrick for that one. Fastest goal to start a period, 8 seconds. Do you remember that 8 seconds to start a period goal?
Not a clue. No.
There were so many of them. It's hard to remember them all, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's that's crazy. It's that's some of those records I actually don't even know that's that I have those or I'm tied or
Right,
where I'm.
right.
It's
I
like
mean, the assist one that's easy. I mean, that's one that gets a lot of notice. But other thing, yeah, you have the most game
yeah,
winners in franchise history with 18.
really.
Yeah, like it's wild. Like I knew, obviously, you were there for 5 years and you put up some
Yeah,
points, but it was cool to see that. Number two all time in games played, and then all time you're third in points and fourth all time in goals. So those will be hard records to jump past, and
yeah,
next few seasons
absolutely.
with a 5-year guy. But
Spencer must be close there on games. I don't know. We must be like tied, or does he
he
hold the record?
he holds the record for games played. I think he's like 289 and you were 287 or something. It was
Yeah,
just very minimally ahead of you. Yeah, yeah. You guys
yeah,
were very close on a lot of these because you guys played all 5 years together. But
yeah. That
out of those 18 game winners, not that you remember all of them, and maybe you do. Some guys have the encyclopedic knowledge of every game they ever play. But any of those game winners in your career stick out? Is there one game that you go, okay, that one I remember vividly from the 5 years?
Oh, I mean, I think we go back to that Shawinigan series where we were so, we were counted out before we even stepped on the ice, and I think that overtime game in game one in Shawinigan really kind of set the tone for that series, and they knew that it was going to be wasn't just going to be a walkover. So I think that's probably the one that sticks out to me the most. Um, I think it was Zaboral that made the pass. And it was just one of those plays where we kind of got a little bit lucky, but in an overtime game and a tight series, you need those to go your way.
Yeah, I vividly remember like sitting here listening on the radio to the game. You scored 45 seconds into OT, and I was losing my mind here with a jersey on
Yeah.
at home. So that one stuck out as soon as I remembered game winners. But uh, jumping out of the stats and into that 2016-17 year, the year as we'll call it. What sort of changes did you make in preparation, knowing that not only was this kind of the year for the team, this was the all-in year, like this was the shot, but it was also your 20-year-old season. Like you're coming in, this is kind of your last chance to really make an impression, get a pro contract, kind of put your stamp on your Q career. What did you kind of think about in the offseason? What did you change, if anything?
Yeah, I think going into that season, I personally didn't change anything. I felt like I was kind of on the right track from the year before. So, when you find something that works, to me, obviously you always want to improve, but if you find something that works that helps you, you may as well keep doing it. So it was a lot more of the same. But I remember our mindset, when we walked into camp that first day, there was one goal, and that was to win. And I remember that being something that everybody talked about. It probably 99% of the days that we walked in the rink, somebody would have said something about, we've got to do this, or, we're on track or whatnot, but it was always in our minds. And I think that, for some teams would put pressure on. But for us, it just helped motivate us because we knew that it was just right there at the end of the tunnel kind of thing.
And you talk about every guy kind of mentioning it, and Spencer had the C on his chest, so he's the captain. But was there a guy that was kind of that extra motivator, and maybe it was you, I'm not sure, but that guy that kind of got everyone rah rah, whether it was in the bench, the room, on the road, like that one guy that kind of kept the team together, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if necessarily anybody stood out because we were such a tight group. Obviously, Spencer being our captain and all of our assistants, um, would have led the way. But I remember everybody being on the same page
Yeah.
and not necessarily leading the charge, but somebody would step up one day. One person would step up the next day. And a prime example of that is Boko. Although it was the season before, if we'll go back to that just for a second, you know, he stood up for Joe Valeno.
Yeah.
And, that to me was kind of where it came together for everybody. And it just continued to snowball into the next season. And, everybody, pulled their weight every single day. And, that's kind of the moment for me the light just turned on for everyone.
I've had Boko and Spencer and Shabbat and Joseph, and kind of, not that you were picked last, but you were a busy guy. But I've had other members of the 2017 Cup team on the show, and I always ask like any memories of that year, and everyone's kind of given the same answer, which just goes to show that it was a very memorable moment. But any games, whether it was a personal game of, hey, I had a great game, or this moment happened, or a playoff series, or winning the cup is going to be number one when you look back on that year. But was there a turning point or a memory that sticks out from that year?
Yeah, like you said, obviously winning was the point that we'll never forget.
Yeah.
But I think that and I'm not sure if some of these other guys have mentioned it, but when you think about it, the turning point for us was kind of in that series when we played Chicoutimi.
Yeah, that everyone is, yeah, and particularly that one game, Game 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was getting dicey there for a while, and we really we grinded back into that series and into the game. Um, it was something that when we did it, we were like, okay, we can just play our game. Whether we felt a little bit of pressure before or whatnot, but Chicoutimi really did a good job of pushing us, and they almost had us, but we held on, and that to me is the biggest thing that I take away from that year, and kind of the turning point.
Yeah, and it goes to show, and I wish I could go back and watch kind of that series again, and knowing now, you wouldn't be as nervous watching it, knowing that it all kind of worked out for us and everyone involved. But yeah, everyone has mentioned that one, and then of course the Val d'Or series when Montpetit just like wouldn't let us score in that first or second game at home, and we ended up winning 2-1 in OT. But those are
Yeah,
the two that always get mentioned.
absolutely. Those were two of the games that in my junior career stick out the most.
Yeah.
Obviously, the one we win, you kind of put to the side, but those other two games on the journey to winning was really something special, and we did a great job of sticking with it in the tough times.
Now, turning into your pro career, you like we mentioned, you weren't drafted, but you end up getting signed to the Blackhawks. When did you get that? When did you know that was a done deal? Wasn't that right during the Memorial Cup or just prior to it?
Yeah, so I think I might have my dates kind of wrong, but I believe that I signed that contract on the day before my birthday, which would have been the end of February.
Yeah.
And it was public a couple weeks after, but yeah, it was close to the playoffs, and I remember that getting done, and I remember just thanking everybody, from my parents to my coaches to whoever helped me along the way, and the first guy I told on the team, just because I wanted to share that moment with, was Spencer Smallman. We had been through so much, and he stuck by my side, and I stuck by his, and it was really something that it was a great day for myself and my family.
And that's my favorite picture from the cup win in Blainville is the two of you, you and Spencer, and you're holding the cup together, and that's my that's my favorite out of that one. I made sure to stick that in all of my like hype videos and everything else that I used to recap that season. But so you signed the pro contract. Just before that, I mean, all the guys around you have sort of got drafted, signed the ELCs, but you kind of had to go this different route where it's camp invites, and even once you've you're signed, you're up and down to the AHL and the NHL. How do you stay focused and stay motivated throughout all that? Like, does it just come down to you love the game that much that I'm literally willing to do anything, or what's your secret for that?
Yeah, I think personally, it's just something that I've always dreamed of, and a dream can push you so far. Um, it makes you do crazy things, whether it's getting up, you know, early in the morning to go to the rink or shoot pucks or work out. It's that everyday dedication to getting better, and even when you have an off day, trying to find a way to continuously get better and learn more. I think that for me was the biggest thing was, um, I continued to learn through my junior career on how to play different ways, how to play this situation, and the more knowledge that you have, the more confidence that you gain, and that really makes the game a lot easier.
Do you feel like you've had to change your game at all now at the pro level, or do you just feel it's a different game, obviously, than junior? But I mean, you've always just been an extremely hardworking guy on the ice and off the ice. Is that just kind of you got to keep doing that, and the X's and O's change a little bit, but I'm just gotta I give my 120%, and that's what it takes.
Yeah, I think ever since I was young, I've always just believed in doing something at 100%, 110%. Um, for me, that still stands true every time I stand on the or I step on the ice. I'm going to go 100%. And, whether it's trying to get better or make a play, always do it with my best effort. And for me, that's nothing's changed on that front. Wherever I play.
And as someone who's had to kind of absolutely grind for everything that you've achieved, and you have reached personal goals and records and championships and stuff, but are you able to kind of revel in that success, or are you always just thinking like, okay, now is the next step, now is the next step, I want now, here's my next goal? Or are you able to actually kind of sit back and say like, yeah, I worked really hard for this, and I'm going to enjoy that I did just get re-signed to the Blackhawks, or I did make it to the NHL?
Yeah, I think um, sometimes it hits you and you're like, wow, like, I've actually done this. Um, and I think that's good. It's humbling. It's, you understand that with hard work that um, anything's possible, and you can, with a dream and some work, you can do just about anything. So sometimes it soaks in and sometimes it doesn't. The reason why I don't know. Certain things just hit you harder. You know what I mean?
And did you have that guys always talk about my kind of welcome to the NHL moment? Did you have a moment like that, and whether it was your first game or your 10th game or 20th, whatever it was? Did you have that moment?
Um, you know, I don't. I'm sure I have, and this is going to be probably the most boring answer ever. But
We'll
those,
edit this, don't worry.
yeah, those games that I played the first year that I got called up in my first year pro, they were just such a whirlwind. And for me, I honestly really don't remember a whole lot about them or how they happened or whatnot. I just remember it being a huge eye opening experience and being like, wow, like I have stuff to work on, but this is ultimately where I want to be. This is super cool.
You say you don't have a ton of memories about it, but I've asked a few guys about their first goal, and they've been able to pinpoint like it was 7 minutes, 12 seconds into the period. We were here. The attendance was 18,000. The temperature was 72 degrees. Like,
Yeah,
do you have that memory of the first goal, or is it just like, yeah, I scored. It was on this goalie, and it was this period we won the game.
yeah, no, I guess I mean when you say that, I do remember
Yeah.
that. It's one of those kind of things that I don't think I'll ever forget how it happened, where it happened, who passed me the puck. I can remember the play, to a T. and that's about it. Because after that, I blacked out for a celebration. I don't, if there was no video cameras, I wouldn't be able to tell you what happened. But no, it was a great moment, and um, I remember it being a big goal in that game too.
Yeah,
I
it was
think we
tied 3-3. Yeah.
we ultimately lost, but it was a big Saturday afternoon rivalry game, and it was a lot of fun.
And you had, I mean, in terms of as far as first goals go, that was one of the nicer first goals I've seen. It wasn't like, it went off your skate or anything like that. And you had one of the better celebrations too. That kind of guttural, just like scream as you scored was. You could see that all the hard work had sort of paid off in that moment.
Yeah, I thought for sure I was going to get one off the shin pads and go top or something, but we'll take the way it happened.
Now, in your pro career so far, you've had the chance to play alongside a couple guys who you played against in the Memorial Cup from that Erie team, and I won't go into the details of those Memorial Cup games against Erie because speaking of blackout, we've all put those out of our memory. But
Absolutely.
was it hard at all playing with Radish or DeBrincat or like seeing those guys for the first time, or had enough time passed that it was like, okay, yeah, he'll get one dig in and then we'll just move on.
Yeah, I think obviously I didn't want to talk about it. Uh, those guys would have been able to talk about it a lot easier. But I think to this day we still kind of have a little bit of fun with it. But it's something I try to forget. Those guys are great guys, and they had a great team that year in Erie. Obviously, we came up a little bit short, but um,
I guess the good part is they only played one extra game. It's not like they then won the Memorial Cup, so there's really not too much chirping they can do.
exactly, yeah. So we also had another guy, Graham Knott from Windsor, my first 2 years. So they ultimately won it, so he would be able to trump all of us.
It's always funny when guys kind of cross paths again, 10 years down the road where it was, oh, I hated that guy on the other team. Now he's my teammate and we get along great. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so getting into kind of current time now, we're days away from returning to play. Hockey's going to be back. Fingers crossed. What can we expect from this Edmonton Chicago series?
Yeah, I think obviously, looking at the series, Edmonton has some great top players, and they're dangerous offensively. So we're gonna have to be very aware when they're on the ice. But it should be a good series, and looking forward to it. We've prepared well, and looking forward to Saturday.
And with the West bubble being in Edmonton, is there the feeling that these are all away games, even though there's no fans or anything like that? Or does the advantage of that just sort of go out the window because everyone's in a bubble, we're all playing in the same rink? Because it just, you know,
Yeah, I think there's no home ice advantage here. I don't think. It certainly doesn't feel that way. We're all here. We're all staying in hotels and in a bubble. So even playing field, and looking forward to it.
fantastic. Well, best of luck in that series, and of course a scrimmage game coming up as well against St. Louis as well against the defending Cup champs. So that'll be a good litmus test to see where everyone stands
Yeah,
before the play-in series.
good test.
Any last shout outs, Matt, before we get into the lightning round? Anything? I mean, ask if you have anything going on, but obviously you got a whole lot going on. But anything we should follow, or the Blackhawks doing anything special that we should know about, or just tune into the game this weekend and get ready for fireworks?
Yeah, no, I think if you're a hockey fan, just make sure you're tuned into these next couple weeks, because it's going to be crazy with all these games, and I know that every team is looking forward to play. So when you get a long layoff and some good enthusiasm, there should be a lot of good games and a lot of good series. So I hope everybody enjoys.
Yeah, that first weekend schedule is nuts of just like back to back to back to back. Like those poor families where the the dads and boyfriends and hockey fans are piled around the TV for 12 straight hours. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Matt, well, without further ado, we will get into the lightning round. Okay, the lightning round. You're a huge fan of the show. You mentioned you've never missed an episode, a single minute of Monday Night Mike, and we appreciate that. But the rules for anyone else who's watching for the very first time, it's 10 questions. The theme of the game is speed and honesty are the two big ones. You are allowed to pass on any question. We haven't had any passes yet. We had like a semi-pass from Nathan Beaulieu, but I talked him out of it, so he has not passed yet. Big shoes to fill here. So if you're ready, we'll start with question number one. This one's the humble test. Ask the same question every guy. How many points did you have in your QMJHL career? And you don't want to go over here. You really don't want to go over. You want to,
Yeah,
if
no
anything,
kidding.
you want to go Price is Right rules here.
Yeah, I think it was two. Was it 246?
247. So you actually nailed it because you went under. that's
Perfect.
that's the perfect answer. You absolutely nailed it.
You had me nervous there for a second.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was oh, it was our coach last weekend who came and said the team had 98 power play goals because he runs the power play, and it was really like 42 or something. He was almost double. So, number two, you spent 5 years in the league, so you've been to every barn multiple times in the queue. What's your favorite away rink in the queue, and your favorite away restaurant? That place, like, hey guys, we're heading to Val d'Or, and you knew like we're stopping at that one spot right outside that you loved.
Favorite away rink. I always, as a Halifax kid, it has to be Scotiabank Center in Halifax. I grew up there playing there and watching the Moosehead. So that's number one for me. And the restaurant, probably the pasta bar in Drummondville.
Oh,
I do not remember what it's called, but we go there every time. And you can pick your everything, and they make it in front of you. And always had fantastic bread. I remember that.
big bread guy. Did you have when you guys played the Scotiabank? Did you have like a ton of family coming to those games? Are they all kind of situated around Halifax?
Yeah, I have a lot of family at home, so a lot of people would come, and that was always a lot of fun. Being able to see them after the game, even if it was for 15, 20 minutes, and just enjoyed, kind of being back in Halifax, where I grew up.
Now, speaking of family, on our next question, you have a sister, and she's also a bit of an athlete as well. How many Stanley Cups do you feel that you have to win in order to become the favorite child?
Oh, gee. At least two or three.
At least two or three. Okay.
Yeah. No, she used to paddle and play soccer and a lot of high school sports. So she was a pretty good athlete herself.
Fantastic. Chicago guy now. Have you been converted to deep dish pizza?
Um, no, I haven't. I still like the standard. My pizza on the go would be like a Pizza Hut pepperoni pizza to go. That's something that I grew up with. I don't think it'll ever change, but I do enjoy a deep dish pizza sometimes. Um, it's very filling.
It is. Yeah, one slice is like an entire pizza. I don't know how people
Yeah.
do it. Number five, I was doing a little dive on your Twitter before this, and I saw you had retweeted a video of you, Nathan Knoll, and Darren Radish, who we mentioned earlier, in the Twisted Crypt in a haunted house where you guys were part of Rockford. They had you tour through a local sort of haunted house.
Yeah.
Who was more scared in the Twisted Crypt? Was it you, Nathan, or Darren?
Absolutely, Nate. Yeah. And if he sees this, he's not going to be very happy. But yeah, no, definitely Nate. He was. I remember him holding onto the back of my shirt the whole time.
Yeah, he volunteered to go in the middle. I remember after watching the video.
Yeah.
It's a quick follow up, and this is outside of the lightning round. Could there be any more polar opposites of human beings than you and Nathan Knoll outside of like successes on the ice? Could there be two different people?
Uh, no, probably not.
Probably not. Okay,
And the
perfect.
best thing is we're the best friends, so it's somehow.
That's fantastic. Number six, the biggest snafu you've ever had in an interview. Whether you flubbed, you swore accidentally, you did something wrong. And you remember one interview where you're like, oh God, why did I do that?
Yeah, I may have mixed up my words when I think I was 16 or 17 in St. John. you know, I know. I'm trying to think what I said, but it wasn't the proper terminology. It didn't work, and I still take heat for it till this day.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the reason I brought it up. Sam Duffin Falls led me onto that one and said you got to bring this up. So
Yeah,
I'll leave what was said and what was meant to be said for sleeping dogs. I'll let that lie. But
yeah.
I'm glad that that was the biggest effort you've had. Number seven, you're a Chicago guy now, like we established. Um, when you're not at a Blackhawks game, is it the Cubs, the White Sox, the Bulls, or the Bears? Which team are you going to support? What's number one?
Um, it's a good question. Um, I've been converted into a Bears fan. So my my NFL teams are the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears.
Yee.
Yeah, but honestly, I've been to a few Bulls games. For me, I enjoy watching the Raptors play. So whenever they're in town, I try to get out to a game. Um, kind of enjoy watching them as well.
And I mean, the Bulls have kind of the history and MJ and everything else, but recently they haven't been quite as good. So,
Right.
number eight, who do you feel in your entire playing career that you had the best on ice chemistry with? Who's the one guy that you just like, whether it was instantly or you had to work at it, like you feel you play your best hockey when you're playing with this one other person?
Um, I think I have to say Spencer Smallman. Smalley and I we came up together and kind of just instantly clicked when we were ever put together on a line. And, we're able to make things happen. Uh, I've had so many great line mates, especially in St. John and wherever I've been. But I think him and I just kind of had a chemistry where it was easy, um, you know, to hop right in.
Fantastic. It's always good to hear that you guys are friends outside of the. It's like watching your favorite TV show and finding out the two lead actors don't actually like each other, and you're like, oh, I don't like the show as much now. But it's good to know you
Yeah,
and Spencer are actually great friends.
yeah,
Number nine, your recurring hockey bad dream. So this is the dream you had before. It's a big game, the playoffs before the season starts. You can't find your stick. Your laces are tied together. Your skates aren't sharp enough. What's the recurring one you've had throughout your life?
I always have a nightmare about if I'm going to somehow put the puck in my own net. Does it happen the same way every time when I have that nightmare? No, but it could have went off me or anything. Um, Somehow, when that dream comes along, it's always Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Hopefully that never happens. That I could ever do that.
Well, you just jinxed it. They'll play this clip after after your team loses in overtime.
Yeah,
Game 7. Finally, number 10. So everyone from the 2016-17 team is on Big Brother. You're all staying together in one house. It's Big Brother rules.
yep.
Who's getting voted out of the house first? Whether it's they're seen as a threat that they're like a strategist or they're annoying or just, as a punk them, we're going to vote them out first. And who's going to be the eventual winner? And anyone else you want to throw in, like this guy could make it far, but he'd be voted up for this reason. Any elaboration you want to give would be more than welcome. But who's voted out first and who's the eventual winner?
Yeah, I think. Uh, oh boy. Um, Wardo would have to be the guy that would be voted out first. He just getting everybody's hair. Yeah, no, he'd have to be the first guy to go. I think on Big Brother because you knew he was a threat down the road.
Okay, okay.
The ultimate winner. It's a good question. I'm gonna say, so you have to have brains. You have to be athletic. I'm gonna say honestly, Callum Booth would be the winner just because he'd
Ooh,
go under the radar for a while and then he'd just pop up and you'd be like, oh, he's in the game.
I like that. I like that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. Fantastic answer. I'll tally these up real quick. I don't see any lost points anywhere. I think like a 9.5. I'll give that round 9.5. So you do qualify for the Ultimate Tournament of Champions. We bring back everyone for the lightning round at the end of the season, and then you'll compete with the other top winners. So
Or
That's not real. Don't get too excited, but I'm glad to see you're smiling as I said that. So, uh, Matthew, it's been an absolute blast to go down memory lane and to catch up. And I'm so happy with how your career has turned out so far. And I know that there's bigger and better things to come. Any last words here before you return to life in the bubble and get ready for the play-in series?
yeah, no, I mean, I'm so very grateful for the opportunity that I had in St. John. I mean, I met so many great people. I had great coaches. General managers. The Billets were fantastic people. They're part of my family now, and um, I'm just very blessed to be able to say that I played for the St. John Sea Dogs and ultimately won a President's Cup. So thank you guys, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Matt, and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Matthew Highmore, number 15 of your St. John Sea Dogs, guys. Wishing him best of luck as they take on the Edmonton Oilers this coming weekend. Ton of hockey to be watched. Remember to blink. This weekend is the big piece of advice I would give to you. It's like 20 plus hours of hockey this entire weekend, so keep your eyes hydrated and take frequent bathroom breaks would be my tip for the week. Next week, we got a couple different possibilities lined up, but I'll reveal that closer to the date. We missed out on having a current Sea Dog this week, but I knew Matthew would fill a good hour of our time, so I didn't want to just squeeze someone in at the end because we like to keep these kind of long form, but we'll get to current Sea Dog hopefully next week, and of course another additional alumni. We do plan on keeping the show going throughout the summer. We may kind of peter out once training camp gets started up, but we'll have some different content and stuff for that. And then once we get into the season, the show will kind of be put on the back burner for a bit, and we might do some special Christmas episodes or something like that as we get some more alumni on the show and currency dogs, etc., etc. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back here at the same time next week. Remember to leave your comments, send us a note, social media, email, website, wherever it is. Let us know who you want to see on the show and give us any feedback you can. As always, this episode will be on YouTube in the next 24 hours or so. Until next week, stay safe, have fun, and go Habs.